If there's one thing we can't deny, it's that Mei Mei's grandmother's scar carries a tense and emotional story. It's pretty much certain that the one who caused it was Ming Li, but how exactly did it happen? And even more intriguingly, why is the mark so small considering that Ming Li's panda is gigantic? It's not a crazy theory to say that Ming Li was the one who injured her mother. After all, the story itself strongly hints at this. According to Mei's father, this incident occurred during a fight between Ming Li and her mother, and if we think about it, it makes total sense. Now, let's be real, Ming Li's panda is absolutely colossal. If a simple scratch from Mei Mei's panda can cause damage, imagine a strike from a creature that size. The impact could be devastating. A stronger blow could easily knock someone unconscious, or worse. So why does Mei Mei's grandmother have only a small and subtle scar? And here's where an interesting theory comes into play. If you pay close attention to the movie, you'll notice that Mei Mei doesn't have to fully transform into a red panda. In several scenes, she's able to activate just certain parts of her body, like her hands, ears, or tail. What if Ming Li had that same level of control over her transformation? Just imagine. In the middle of a heated argument with her mother, Ming Li's emotions exploded, and she momentarily lost control. But instead of fully transforming, like Mei Mei did in some moments, she may have only manifested certain parts of the panda. Maybe her sharp claws appeared just for a brief moment, enough to cause an injury, but without unleashing her full destructive potential. This would perfectly explain why Mei Mei's grandmother's scar isn't that big, even though it was caused by Ming Li's colossal panda. But let's go further. Another curious thing is that Ming Li's panda is considered the largest in the family. What if that wasn't just a genetic factor, but something directly linked to her emotional state? If we go back to the story of the ancestor Sun Yi, we see that her red panda was also enormous. But why? Because she was overwhelmed by a powerful emotion, the desire to protect her daughters during the war. The panda's size may be a direct reflection of the intensity of its wielder's emotions. In other words, as Ming Li accumulated intense feelings, especially during fights with her mother, her panda could have grown larger and harder to control. This would make total sense within the film's narrative. Now, back to the main point. Remember how Mei Mei's grandmother always told her never to release the panda? Sounds familiar, right? That's because that same pressure was probably placed on Ming Li when she was young. The big difference is that Mei Mei had her friends to help her understand and accept her panda side. Ming Li, on the other hand, didn't seem to have that emotional support. Everything revolved around earning her mother's approval. This explains why she grew up so repressed, trying to be the perfect daughter and hiding her emotions. Until one day the breaking point came. When Mei Mei's grandmother mentioned Ming Li's husband, that was the trigger that made all her repressed emotions explode, and the red panda emerged. Rage took over, and without meaning to, she injured her mother. That moment marked her forever, not just physically but emotionally as well. And that's exactly why the final moment between Ming Li and Mei Mei is so powerful. When the mother finally breaks down and cries in front of her daughter, the scene carries an immense emotional weight. That's when we understand that the cycle of generations is being broken. Ming Li spent years trying to be the perfect daughter, but without realizing it, she ended up placing the same pressure on Mei Mei. And unlike her grandmother, who always maintained a strict posture, Mei Mei chooses to embrace her mother and show that she doesn't have to follow the same path. The moment when the two share their pain is simply touching and reinforces the importance of acceptance and forgiveness within the family. At the end of the day, the grandmother's scar isn't just a physical mark. It's a symbol of this entire history of repression, conflicts, and, finally, redemption. Ming Li spent years thinking she needed to hide her panda side when, in reality, all she needed was to accept her own emotions. And Mei Mei? Well, she figured that out earlier and decided to change the course of this story. So now I want to hear from you. What do you think of this theory? Does it make sense to you? Do you believe that the grandmother's scar could really have been caused by a partial transformation attack from Ming Li? Leave a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more content like this. Click on the video that's on the screen. See you in the next video.